Hello, everyone. Mr. Bubblywinks and I are here to welcome you a happy day 10. We are excited to chat with you about list poems. And I think that list poems are really cool because there are a lot of different directions you can go with them. There are a lot of different purposes for a list poem. And yeah, they're just awesome. So basically, a list poem is a poem that lists things. Sometimes each line is an item on the list. Sometimes each paragraph or stanza is a line of the list. Sometimes you get to be really creative with your formatting in these, and sometimes they're a little more basic. Your title can be the title of the list, can be a hint at what we're talking about, or it can be a memory associated with what inspired the list. This style of poem is also occasionally known as a catalog poem, although there's a slight difference between the two. If there's time this month, we will come back to that happily, but otherwise, we are just gonna move on and say they are close enough. Okay, so that being said, our first list poem is, of course, Shel Silverstein, because we have to celebrate him this month, and he is a really amazing poet with a wide number of amazing variety in poems and topics and a certain level of accessibility that deserves to be honored and celebrated. So, this is titled A Closet Full of Shoes, and it goes something like this. Oh no, I've lost it. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. Oh no. Okay, we're having a little bit of tech difficulty, which is new and okay. Just not ideal. So, let's try this again. Aha! A Closet Full of Shoes by Shel Silverstein, because yes. Party shoes with frills and bows, workin' shoes with steel toes, sneakers, flip-flops, and galoshes, boots to wear with Macintoshes. Brogans, Oxford satin pumps, dancing taps, and wooden clumps. Shoes for climbing, shoes for hikes, football cleats, and baseball spikes. Shoes for shiny patent leather, woolly shoes for winter weather, loafers, rough outs, sandals, spats, high heels, low heels, platforms, flats, moccasins and fins and flippers, shower clogs, and ballet slippers. A zillion shoes, and just one's missing. That's the one that matches this'n. So I love Shel Silverstein. I love his sense of rhythm. I love getting to revel in his poetry, and it's just great. The next one we're going to share is James McKean, and this poem is titled Reasons to Plant Raspberries. To cover the bones of your fence, to placate the crows for the cleaning up of late fall cranes cut to the ground, to anchor spring each winter in the soil of your mind, bedded down in short days and bad light. For your loss, and if you don't look back for the willing return, the prickly canes every which way the sun warms them, a slow sketch, lines first then shaded in, for the bucket you wear around your neck, for both hands free to sweep the greens aside, the thump of morning's first light. For this ripe and near ripe a tug, the easy difference, for what they bear and will bear beyond you, for your table, for the robin's theft, for two neighbor girls who ask and you're watching them reach year after year into the leaves, for their growth spurts and hair tied back, for their chatter, as if today has nothing to do with tomorrow. This next one is an Ada Limon poem, and if you don't know who Ada Limon is, go buy her books, read her poetry, explore her, learn her, love her. She's also currently the Poet Laureate of the US, which is really awesome, and I can't wait to see what she does with that title, that power, and Every year, the Poet Laureate of the US gets to basically spearhead a really cool project that gets poetry into schools, libraries, and communities. And I am so excited to see what Ada brings to the table. So, this is her fabulous poem, The End of Poetry. Enough of osseous and the chickadee and sunflower and snowshoes, maple and seed, samara and shoot, enough chicaroso, enough of thus and prophecy, the stoic farmer and faith our father and 'tis of thee, enough bosom and bud, skin and God, not forgetting and star bodies and frozen birds, enough of the will to go on and not to go on, and how a certain light does a certain thing, enough of kneeling and rising and looking inward and looking up, enough of the gun, the drama, the acquaintance's suicide, the lost long letter hanging on the dresser, enough of the longing and the ego and the obliteration of ego, enough of the mother and the child and the father and the child, enough of the pointing to the world, weary and desperate, enough of the brutal and the border, enough of the can you see me, can you hear me, enough of the I am human, enough of the I am alone and I am desperate, enough of the animal saving me, enough of the high water, enough sorrow, enough of the air and its ease. I am asking you to touch me. This next one is an Alex Dimitrov poem titled Love. And I know a lot of people are massive, massive, massive fans of Alex Dimitrov, especially from the Tumblr days of poetry, the early, early Tumblr days. So if you're an Alex Dimitrov fan, fantastic, this one's for you. If you are like me and you didn't quite get to experience that era, don't worry, this poem is still fabulous, and if you choose to go down the rabbit hole, you absolutely can. I love you in the morning, and it's difficult to love you. I love the January sky and knowing it will change, although unlike us. I like I love watching people read. I love photo booths. I love midnight. I love writing letters, and this is my letter to the world that never wrote to me. I love snow and briefly. I love the first minutes in a warm room after stepping out of the cold. I love my 20s and I want them back every day. I love time. I love people. I love people and my time away from them most. I love the part of my desk that's darkened by my elbows. I love feeling nothing but relief during the chorus of a song. I love space. I love every planet. I love the big unknowns that need to know who called or wrote, who's coming, if they want to do the same things I do, if they want much less. I love not loving Valentine's. I love how February is the shortest month. I love that Barack Obama was president. I love the quick, charred time between two people smoking a cigarette outside a bar. I love everyone on Friday night. I love New York City. I love New York City a lot. I love that day in childhood when I thought I was someone else. I love wondering how animals perceive our daily failures. I love that line in Cat on a Hot Tin Roof when Brick's father says, life is important. There's nothing else to hold on to. I love Brick. I love that we can fail at love and continue to live. I love writing this and not knowing what I'll love next. I love looking at paintings and being reminded that I am alive. I love Turner's paintings and the sublime. I love the coming of spring, even in the most withholding of March. I love skipping anything casual. Hi, how are you? It's been forever, and getting straight to the center of the pain or happiness. I love opening a window in a room. I love feeling the possibility of by the end of the first cup of coffee. I love hearing anyone listen to Nina Simone. I love Nina Simone. I love how we can choose our families. I love how no one knows where I am, but I feel terrified to be forgotten. I love Saturdays. I love that despite the mistakes this will end. I love how people get on planes to New York and California. I love the hour after rain at the beginning of the cruelest month. I love imagining Weldon Keys on a secret island. I love the beach on a cloudy day. I love never being disappointed by chocolate. I love that morning when I was 20 and had just met someone very important, though I didn't know it yet, and I walked down an almost empty State Street because it was still early and not at all late. And of course, I could change everything, though I also didn't know it. I could find anyone, go anywhere. I wasn't sorry for who I was. I love the impulse to change. I love seeing what we can do with what we can't change. I love the moon's independent indifference. I love the same streets as Warhol. I love what losing something does, but I don't love losing it. I love how the past shifts when there's more. I love kissing. I love hailing a cab and going home. I love being surprised by May, although it happens every year. I love closing down anything, a bar, a restaurant, a party, and that time between late night and dawn when one lamp goes on wherever you are and you know. You know what you know, even if it's hard to know. I love being a poet. I love all poets. I love Jim Morrison for saying I'd like to do a song for or a piece of music that's just a pure expression of joy, like a celebration of existence, like the coming of spring or the sun rising, just pure unbounded joy. I don't think we've really done that yet. I love everything I haven't done. I love looking at the sun without need or panic. I love the quiet trees in the new city. I love how the sky is connected to a part of us that understands something big and knows nothing about it too. I love the minutes before you're about to see someone you love. I love any film that delays the resolution. I love being in a cemetery because judgment can't live here. I love being on a highway in June or any time at all. I love magic. I love the zodiac. I love all of my past lives. I love that hour of a party when everyone's settled into their discomfort and someone tells you something really important in passing because it's just too painful any other way. I love the last moments before sleep. I love the promise of summer. I love going to the theater and seeing who we are. I love glamour, shamelessly and all glamour, which is not needed to live but shows people love life. What else is there for? Why not ask for more? I love red shoes. I love black leather. I love grotesque ways in which people eat ice cream on sidewalks alone, however they need it, however they feel free. I love being the middle of a novel. I love how mostly everyone in Jane Austen is looking for love. I love July and its slowness. I love the idea of liberation and think about it all the time. Love imagining a world without money. I love imagining a life with enough money to write what I want. I love standing in front of the ocean. I love that sooner or later we forget even the important things. I love how people write in the sand, on buildings, on paper, their own bodies, the fogged mirrors, texts they'll draft but never send. I love silence. I love owning a velvet cape and not knowing how to cook. I love that instant when an arc of light passes through the room and I'm reminded that everything is really moving. I love August and its sadness. I love Sunday for that too. I love jumping in a pool and how somewhere on the way up your body relaxes and accepts the shock of the water. I love Paris for being Paris. I love Goddard's films. I love any place that makes room for loneliness. I love how the universe is 95% dark matter and energy, and somewhere in the rest of it, there is us. I like bookstores and the autonomy when I am in one. I love that despite my distrust in politics, I am able to vote. I love wherever my friends are. I love voting, though no art and not power is what will change the human character. I love what seems to be me discerning indifference of cats. I love the often uncomplicated joy of dogs. I love Robert Lax for living alone. I love the extra glass of wine happening somewhere right now. I love schools and teachers. I love September and how we see it as a way to begin. I love knowledge, even the fatal kind, even the one without use value. I love getting dressed more than I love getting undressed. I love mystery. I love candles. I love religious spaces, though I'm sometimes lost there. I love the sun for worshiping no one. I love the sun for showing up every day. I love the felt order after a moment of errands. I love walking toward nowhere in particular and that short lived chance of finding something new. I love people who smile only when moved to. I love that day on Venus lasts longer than a year. I love Walt Whitman for writing the fever of doubtful news, the fitful events. These come to me days and nights and go from me again, but they are not the me myself. I love October when the veil between worlds is thinnest. I love how the moment I can forgive someone from the past is now. I love the wind and how we never see it. I love the performed sincerity in pornography and wonder if its embarrassing transparency is worth adapting to other parts of life. I love how magnified emotions are at airports. I love dreams, conscious and unconscious, lived and not yet. I love anyone who risks their life for their ideal one. I love Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera. I love how people make art even in times of impossible pain. I love all animals. I love ghosts. I love that we continue to invent meaning. I love the blue hours between 3 and 5 when Sylvia Plath wrote Ariel. I love that despite having one body, there are many ways to live. I love November because I was born there. I love people who teach children that most holidays are a product of capitalism and have little to do with love, which would never celebrate massacre, which would never care about money or greed. I love people who quit their jobs to become artists. I love you for reading this as opposed to anything else. I love the nostalgia of the future. I love the tallest mountain in our solar system is safe and on Mars. I love dancing. I love being in love with the wrong people. I love that on November 23rd, 1920, Virginia Woolf wrote, "We have bitten off a large piece of life, but why not? Did I not make out a philosophy some time ago which comes to this, that one must always be on the move? I love how athletes believe in the body and know it will fail them. I love dessert for breakfast. I love all of the dead. I love gardens. I love holding my breath underwater. I love whoever is untying their shoes right now. I love that December is summer in Australia. I love that statues in a downpour. I love how no matter where on the island at any hour, there's at least one lit square at the top or bottom of a building in Manhattan. I love diners. I love that the stars can't be touched. I love getting in a car and turning the keys just to hear some music. I love ritual. I love chants too. I love people who have quietly survived being misunderstood yet remain kids. And yes, I love that Marilyn Monroe requested Julie Gardens over the rainbow to be played at her funeral, and her casket was lined in champagne satin. That Lee Strasberg ended his eulogy by saying, "I cannot say goodbye. Marilyn never liked goodbyes, but in the peculiar way she had of turning things around so that they faced reality. I will say, au revoir." I love the different ways we have of saying the same thing. I love anyone who cannot say goodbye. And this episode ended up being really long because I forgot how long that Alex Dimitrov poem was and how it goes through every month of the year. But I am so glad that there are so many things to love. I love the little nuggets of literary history. I love the little nuggets of actual history. I love that there are some really strong opinions in there. I love getting to learn a little bit about the author, like when they were born. And I hope that you've enjoyed these list poems. You can see they can be as short or as long as you want. They can have any rhythm you want. They are really just a fun way to explore poetry and make the most of it. So, happy day 10. Happy writing. Mr. Bubbly-Wink and I are going to go write our own list poems. We're going to embrace being writers, and we might cry a little after that Alex Dimitrov poem. Don't worry though, we'll be back tomorrow with more poetry and workshops and all the things. Remember to leave your poems in the comments, leave your comments in the comments, and hang out with me on other socials because you can. And like I said, I'll be back tomorrow. Bye for now.